Here's what you call high altitude cruising. I actually provided so much thrust from the atmospheric engines that I exceeded. Basically, I didn't go into orbit, but I'm at half G. I finally had to kick in the hydrogen thrusters just to maintain control, because basically the engines conked out. You can see they say on. I don't know why it says on. I think it just means that they're turned on, but they're no longer providing any thrust. So I shut them off to let the batteries recharge. And I've already made it around the entire planet, and I marked both poles. Both poles still have the pirate bases, so that's great. I need to keep an eye on my fuel. Unlike power, hydrogen is limited. So I don't want to use up all my tanks because I'm going to need them to stop. I am cruising. In fact, I should probably start decelerating here instead of accelerating. Very cool. That shows you the amount of power this thing has. I mean, literally pushed it to 12,000 meters. Before I kicked in hydrogen, I had that much momentum. So, hey, this is a good way to check out the surface. I mean, I'm almost in sort of an orbit. Like, if I unlock the speed so that I go faster than 350, I'm pretty sure I can get enough speed to where I could hold an altitude around the planet. I don't know. There's probably some way to do it. If you get to a certain altitude and go a certain speed, you pretty much would be considered in orbit. I mean, that would assume that you're no longer having wind resistance or air resistance. And I'm not sure how that works in the mod. I think maybe it has to deal with just being in any atmosphere at all, you're going to feel some drag. So I'm going to guess that you probably can't really orbit per se. Because there's always going to be some drag if you're in any atmosphere. And since when you go into orbit there's no gravity at all from the planet, then you can't really technically orbit. This is about as close as you can get. Just go really fast in a straight line and you will eventually sort of orbit. You have to slow it down or I'm going to pass up the base. So that means bringing it back down to Earth. I'm going to go ahead and kick the engines back on, so when I do enter the atmosphere it will slow me down. But I'm going to be completely on hydrogen right now. So it's all going to be about those hydrogen engines stopping me. That's why I was trying to save as much fuel as I could, because I knew I was relying on these completely until I can get low enough. In fact, I should probably just aim towards the base. That will straighten out my path eventually. Anyway, you don't need to be bored by all this. It's going to take me a while to land. Hey peeps. So I got brought the ship back, got it recharging, made a few updates to the welder ship, put some more thrusters on it and another battery. I was getting sick of the power issues. I just programmed the hotbar, number 6 hotbar on the mothership for the decoys. Now, as a good tester does, I need to sacrifice one to see if they work in an atmosphere, because I've never tested it in a gravity environment or in an atmosphere. So I'm going to go ahead and launch one now and see what happens. Might as well zoom out and see if it comes out and flies up high enough, or if it just poops out and crashes. So we're going to go ahead and sacrifice the right side here. Here we go. That sucker went way up there. It certainly worked. And what I might be able to do is use the, before it crashes down to the earth, use the radar. It's probably going to crash pretty fast. There it is. I see it falling. It's tumbling. Wow, that really made it some distance. I even heard it boom when it hit the ground. Awesome. So we know for a fact that not only does it work, but it shoots pretty high and pretty far, so it should be quite useful for attracting fire even in a regular gravity atmospheric environment. So that was a great test. On to the next project. I think I just discovered a new form of propulsion that requires practically no energy at all. This is still running. I heard binging and banging over there, and I was like, let me see what's going on with this thing. Not only did it not get damaged when it hit the ground, but it's still going, and it's just because the gyro is powered in an override mode that it's causing it to tumble like this. And it will keep going like this at least until the power runs out. How long that is, I have no idea. Those gyros pretty much sip power. This gives me an interesting idea. It's like I can actually make a vehicle or something that would get around like this. Imagine you can put like a rotor in the middle there and then just use gyros on the ends to make like a wheel of sorts that could climb all kinds of terrain. I mean, that's a kind of interesting concept. Or make a robot. You know, there's my mech warrior way for him to walk instead of using like legs. Uh-oh, did I just run out of hydrogen? Crapple, I did. I guess it's gonna be a run back to the ship. I was gonna try to capture this thing and reuse it, but probably by the time I get back and refill and get into the ship, it's probably gonna be long gone. Actually, this is gonna be a challenge getting into the ship at all without hydrogen, because I don't have the ramp down. I might be able to reach the ramp controls, but yeah, this is sprint. Doesn't get any better than this. Now, if you're wondering exactly, how do you replace a rotor? Or a rotor. Again, rotor on the brain. How do you replace a decoy? Well, you take this customized welder ship that has the extending piston on it with the projector. You whip out a decoy with the projector, and you fly it like this, which I had to put a couple of extra atmospheric engines on it for the gravity, which this thing's just packed with motors now, thrusters. Then you take it down the hole, extend the piston. You use the camera to get as much as you can alignment, which is extremely delicate. Bump the walls, you bounce off. Trying to get it close enough to the center that it will snap. Now the problem is, when it does snap, it might break everything. I have not done this before. In fact, now that I think about it, it's probably a really bad idea. Okay, well, it's kind of close to the center. It's probably close enough to pull it off. Now, because we are in gravity, I can't let it go. If we were in space, this would not be a problem. I could let it go. It would stay there, and then I could attach it. But I have a feeling what's going to happen as soon as I lock it, it's going to break something somewhere. And most likely it's going to involve exploding my ship. So I'm going to do a save before I do this. Here goes nothing. Okay, so rotor. No, I want to do a save first. I think it just saved. Yep, it just saved. Okay. So rotor. Right. I'm going to do a safety lock. I don't know if this even matters. We'll just put it super low. And I'm also going to put the torque and braking super low. Maybe I'll get lucky and it will not explode anything. But we'll look over this way just in case it does. Here we go. No, I don't think it found the rotor. If it found the rotor, I think it would have been pretty devastating. I might have to back out a little bit. But let's see. I'll know because it'll be perfectly centered, but I didn't see anything move. I have a feeling it did not take it. No, I don't think it took it. So let's try backing out slightly. I almost don't have enough thrust to do this. Okay, let's try that right there. Now, you know, if I had an antenna, well, you know, I technically could do it from the booster ship. But let's just pretend we're not connected to it, because this does not have an antenna on it. Obviously, it'd be huge. Attached it and it didn't blow up. Oh, I feel so special. Oh. I saw that wiggle and I'm going, yep, it's gonna explode. Yep, it's gonna die. Alright, so what I'll do now, and hopefully this won't make it explode, because usually things explode when you cut blocks off. So let's detach the projector and see what happens. Yep, that's what I thought. Thank you, Keen! Okay, here I am. I finished the projector system for the one side that totally works. I did several test launches. Now take a look at this. This one's fully built and mounted and ready to launch. Take a look at the projector here. I do have it a rotor going to a piston going to the projector, because the projector will only do only build a grid on its own grid. So you can't put the projector and then the piston. So you have to put the projector on the end of the piston. Look how it's oriented. Okay. You don't see anything on the other sides. No, the other crosshair is actually at the top of the piston. I can't really show you that because it's attached. But you see the crosshair, the main crosshairs here, which are pointing forward, and then there's another set of crosshairs. I thought that's supposed to attach to the back, but apparently it's at a 90-degree angle. But anyway, you see how that's done, and I had no problems welding this and getting this to work. So I go over here on this side. I reproduce everything exactly the same, figuring, hey, it's going to work the same. So I get over here, I build the rotor, put it in the same direction, the piston. Now I didn't pay any attention to the orientation of the little slots. The rear crosshair, you can see on this projector here, this is what I was talking about on the other side. This orientation matches exactly with the other side. In fact, I can show you, just to prove that I'm not fibbing. There's the main crosshairs pointing forward. There's no crosshairs here because I had to put the crosshairs on the other side in order to build over here, and I couldn't really, I had to go on the forums to even get a clue what was going on here. So here on this side is identical setup to the other side. This blueprint is the exact same blueprint that is on the other side. Everything is oriented in the universe exactly the same way on both sides of the ship. Now, it would make absolute logic that I should be able to weld this on this side of the ship exactly the same as on the other side of the ship. Note, even the gyroscope is pointing in the same direction on both sides. So this proves that it is oriented correctly, and the control panel for the missile is pointing towards the projector, just like on the other side. So here we go. Look, I can't weld the gyroscope. It won't let me. It's basically telling me that it can't be done, even though it works on the other side. Now, I don't get that. I don't get it at all. Even the settings on the projectors are exactly the same. Okay. -3, -5, -90. -3, -5, -90. Okay. It won't let me make the damn projection. So I was like, okay, what if I just rotate the projector around and put the crosshairs going the other direction? That's absolutely not going to work, right? So let me shut this one off. Put this one on. Now, of course, the settings aren't the same because it's being projected a different direction. So here's the right one, which we said before was 0, -3, -5, 0, -90, 0. This is 5, 3, 0, 0, 0, -90. Completely different offsets and angle. Gee, it works. The gyroscope isn't even pointing in the right friggin' direction, and it's working. Now, I'm not sure what the bug is. Like, reproducing the conditions of this bug is beyond the amount of time I want to spend on it. I am going to report this, and I noticed other people have noticed a similar problem, but it absolutely has something to do with the orientation of the projector to what you're projecting, and the fact it doesn't work in two different locations with everything pointing exactly the same way is just mind-boggling. There's got to be something else going on. But this is an FYI, basically a public service announcement to anybody who is using projectors and is running into this problem. Try rotating the projector around the other way, and be surprised it magically is going to start working. So I'm going to go ahead and finish this build. I want to get this done and move on to something else. I'm going to report the bug, and that's it. Okay, seems like I got the projector bugs worked out. Reported on the forums what I discovered. It's crazy, illogical stuff. Okay, so let me give you a demonstration. I just fired a decoy to make sure it worked, and it did. So this is what you need to do after, assuming that you get this ship and you want to figure out what the hell I did to get the decoys to work. What you would need to do is create this piston and put a projector at the end, and the projector on this side of the ship needs to have the slot on this side, the minus sign I call it, and then the plus side is right there. Now, why you have to do it that way? Ask Keen. The other side of the ship, the plus faces out and the minus faces up. So if you don't do it that way, it's not going to work. There is a decoy blueprint already loaded in, but of course you'll have to load that. I call my projector right and left, so I have to distinguish. This is projector left. So all you have to do, go into the blueprints, pick the decoy, boost your decoy left. Alright, then you'd say okay, and I'm not going to do that because it'll overwrite my settings. which my current settings are 03000090. Very simple. And I usually do keep projection just so that way it's still there when I'm building and all that stuff, so I just prefer to have that on. Okay, so interestingly enough, I don't see the projection. That's really weird. Why didn't it keep the blueprint? Okay, I guess you will get to see how it's done. Okay, so there it is. All you have to do, in this case, I have it so you just put 2 empty blocks, 2 empty light armor blocks, and then you have to turn the projection on and off again to get it to tell you that it's okay to weld that one. That's another bug. Yeah, lots of bugs with the projection system, lots of bugs. But you can work around them, and so it is doable if you're patient. So let's just go through and build it. Now, if you can't build the gyroscope, if it won't let you build the gyroscope, that means you have the projector facing the wrong way. You need to rotate the projector. And it's not very logical. You'll just have to keep rotating it till you find a direction where it works. Hopefully they'll have it fixed. Now the hard one for me is to get that decoy in there completely built, because it requires a radio component. So you got to make sure that that's completely built before you continue, because if it's not, you'll never be able to access it again. And if I wasn't talking, of course, this would go a little bit quicker. You can pretty much put one of these together about a minute, you know, from start to finish, assuming you have everything in your inventory that you need, which I think I do. As soon as you create the capacitor, it's going to start charging, and that's one of the benefits of having it. You see it's charging right now. That's one of the benefits of having it connected to the grid, is while you're finishing the rest, it charges. So it's literally ready to launch as soon as you're done with the programming part, which is pretty easy. Here's the control panel. You know, it wasn't letting me build the control panel last time either. I have no idea why that is. It's not really necessary to have the control panel. That's just like if you want to access the missile afterwards. And the only other thing I hate is I get stuck in here a lot. There's not much I can do about that. So it's not making the control panel again. Oh, there it goes. I just didn't have the right angle. Okay, so it's completely built. It's ready to go. It's only 11 blocks. So now what you need to do is you need to set it down into the rotor. And for that, I already have the button programmed for it. You just, well, of course you'll have to program it for your piston. And I just have it set so that it goes down, and I'll show you the settings. So you don't even have to figure out the settings. Piston projector left. So I have the maximal distance at 1 meter, minimal at 0. Very simple. Just set it to 1 meter and it will line up perfectly with the rotor. So what you want to do is, you can verify this if you like. That's how it should look. It just needs to be centered, left and right, forward and back. It needs to be dead center. If you don't dead center it, it's going to explode. Right? So once it's dead center, and it's about halfway into the rotor, you can see that end piece is about halfway in. It doesn't have to be exactly half. It could be a quarter or 3/4. That's about where you want it. Then I have this control panel up top, if I can get up there. Come on, come on, come on. That actually does a detach and then an attach, because you need to do a detach and then an attach in order for it to detect that. So let's just do the detach and then the attach. So now, if you want to verify it, and it's probably a good idea to do that, just go to rotor, decoy launcher. Now launcher is the launcher rotor, and projector is the projector rotor. So you don't want to get those confused and detach the wrong one. That would suck. It says attached, and if it says attached, it gives you a current angle. That means you're safe to go ahead and cut it loose. So at this point, you just cut the metal blocks loose. you see the projector bounced a little bit. If you didn't have that centered in the rotor, as soon as you break that block, it'd explode and kill you. So just FYI, make sure it's centered and locked before you break any of these blocks. And now at this point, once you break them, you can retract the projector, turn it off, so it doesn't lag your game out. Now the decoy is ready to launch, except that you need to access it, and that's one of the reasons why I put the control panel on there. You need to go to the trigger me timer, change the actions so that this, oh man, that was supposed to stay. I don't know, for some reason sometimes it doesn't keep this one, and it's supposed to keep this one. Okay, so this first action needs to be rotor detach. So you need to find the decoy launcher left right here and tell it to detach. That's the first action. And then this action, it tells you here, decoy thrusters left. You need to turn those on. And for some reason it didn't save that group. It was doing it before. Okay, decoy. Oh, it didn't save the group. That's why. What the frack? I use the keyword left. I will show you anything that's marked left. Everything is marked left on the left missile, and everything's marked right on the right missile. And that's all for obvious reasons, so that you can find it. So I guess if this happens to you, just select the two atmospheric thrusters for left, and then the 2 ion thrusters for left, and then set these as a group as decoy thrusters left. Now, go back into the timer block, the trigger me block. Okay, it didn't save it. Yeah, I know this is a pain in the ass. Decoy thrusters left. Turn them on. So there you go. That's how it should look. You should have 6 actions, and none of them grayed out. And all this does, it detaches the rotor, arms the decoy, turns on the gyro, turns on the power, turns on the engines, and then triggers the next timer block, which you need to verify that this one is set properly too, which it should be set to 4 seconds. And any actions? Okay, this is fine. Now it actually saved the group. So it should have these 4 items in here. What these do is it turns the decoy on, make sure it's on for whatever reason it might be off. Tells the gyro to increase its pitch, tells it to shut off the thrusters, and then the timer is set on a trigger me now to just trigger this over and over again as fast as it can. So what that will do is it'll make the missile turn really quick and make sure the engines and everything are shut off. So there you go. At this point, now you have the actions set up properly in the timer blocks. Now it should, I'm hoping that this is going to not prove me wrong here. Should be able to go to the cockpit. Frame rate gets to me sometimes, so I kind of hope they beef it up a bit. Okay, great. It did save the hotkeys, it looks like. Or did it? That one looks a little grayed out to me. So Alt-6, that does kind of look grayed out. There's no way for me to test it except to click on it, but that does look grayed out to me. So I'm going to just to verify. So you want the decoy left trigger me timer, not the decoy left timer block delay. The delay is for turning the missile off. The trigger me is for turning it on. So just do a trigger now. And when you want to launch the decoy, all you need to do is go to your Alt-6 bar or your Control-6 bar. I keep saying Alt-6. Control-6 hotbar, and then you can press 1 for the left launcher and 9 for the right launcher. Now, that is a pain in the ass. Is it really worth it? I don't know, but it was a fun project to do, and they are cool to watch launch. Now, I'm gonna have to test it in battle to see if they actually attract the gunfire, because that was broken before. Apparently Keen said they fixed it, so we'll find out. Next time there's a battle, I'll launch a decoy and see if they go after that. So anyway, that's that update. Now it's time to move on to the next project.